G'day guys, welcome back to another video with Enno here from Fantasy Take TV. Today we'll be going through three different player matchups that many of us are pondering over the start of game week 1 and for the season to start our teams with. Some you may be able to start both of, not the case with these first two, but others that I'll go through you may be able to start with in the same team, but just ones that I think a lot of people are deliberating over. I'll go over only three matchups technically, and so 6 players altogether, but ones that I'm still tossing and turning over with only a couple of days to go. So I thought we'd talk through them just for a quick 10 minutes here. So the big one, Kane and Haaland, of course. I'll start with that one, and both have been in my side for numerous parts of the pre-season. I started with Haaland as soon as he was sort of announced and the game was open, and then once I saw he wasn't really playing in pre-season, switched over to Kane. As obviously he's going to be the much more proven product in the Premier League. He's done it for 5 or 6 years now at a high level. And then Haaland played the last game in the Community Shield of pre-season, and actually, as I bring it up, had an XG of 1.59 in the match and just failed to score. So had that chance, right at the 6-yard box, blew it against the bar. Another one from across that he stuck his leg out to and missed. And that's against Liverpool. I mean, it was quite an aggressive match. Both teams were pretty attacking in that, but and of course it is still technically really just a preseason game. I know it's for silverware, but it's not of the highest priority to those teams. But the most thing that I got out of that was just the confidence that Haaland played 90 minutes leading into game week 1, and I've really gone back into maybe starting him over Kane, but I also am thinking about whether I just start with Kane, assess how Haaland and his minutes go against West Ham, and not technically book in the transfer, that I'll 100% do it, but keep it open as a possibility for game week 2, as Kane obviously has Chelsea away in that week. So, getting Kane against Southampton probably is very, very likely for a return. At least just one, and then seeing how Haaland goes, and then against Bournemouth in that game week 2 fixture. Looking at him, look, the stats I've got are from last season, but of course Haaland's are in the Bundesliga, so take them with a grain of salt, because it's a lot easier league to score, and not saying it's easy, but it's a lot easier in the Premier League to score in. The penalties, obviously we know Kane, he's on them. He may even be on a few more set pieces. I knew he took a couple of free kicks in pre-season, which some Spurs fans aren't too happy about. They think Sonny should be on him, should be on them, which I probably agree with. But so maybe that's a boost for Kane. But Haaland, whether he's on penalties or not, with Mahrez, who is mostly the primary taker, but of course he doesn't spend a hell of a lot of time on the pitch, or as many as others do. So when he's on, he's the taker, but and I think he will start the season, Mahrez, at that right wing spot. But is Haaland on them or not? There was a quote of Mahrez saying, "I'm happy to take him, but if I want to give him up, or to someone else, then I'm more than happy to do that too." So it doesn't really tell us much. But if Haaland is on them as well, then obviously just boosts him even more. I think he'll just get a plethora of chances in that City team. So something I am thinking about is just starting with him and riding him out for the first few game weeks. And if it does go pear-shaped, his minutes drop, or he cops an injury, switch over to Kane, as Kane's fixtures are quite good as well. Forest in game week 4, and even past that, they're still pretty good. So still pondering whether I do this. I think my most likely is actually to start Haaland and just ride it out and see how he goes. Of course, game week 1 you'd prefer Kane, but you don't always want to be using that transfer in game week 2 if Haaland looks really good and I want to get on. Who's to say I don't have an injury somewhere else, or I am looking at like a Perisic, for instance. He gets pulled off early, or he doesn't start or something. So I think the more and more I think about it, I'll start Haaland and just see how he goes, because I am really confident off the back of the Community Shield, him playing the 90 minutes, getting a few big chances. I think they're just going to be coming his way more and more. So that's where I sit currently with that one. The next one we're looking at is Diaz versus Saka. So probably the two that people think are the best two 8 million mids. Of course, there's another 5 we can talk about, but we'll be going for days if I did that. I think these two are quite clearly nailed. You know, they're not under any threat from minutes. Diaz, even if Jota was fit, I still think Diaz would be getting majority of the minutes out there. You know, someone like a Firmino or something would get subbed off, or Jota probably just wouldn't play, to be honest, because Núñez has looked quite good, especially in the last appearance in the Community Shield. Got the stats there from last season's. Diaz, obviously, goals are probably going to be better because he looks to attack. And Liverpool, being in that team, they just create more chances naturally. Saka does get a few more assists, but there's also, again, the penalty situation with Arsenal. Is Saka going to be on them? So, you know, their goal involvement is quite similar, but that, of course, takes into account that Saka does get some penalties here and there. He took a few late last season. But the interesting thing and kind of annoying thing is, like, the last 5 penalties for Arsenal that have been taken have all been taken by the penalty or the person who won the penalty. So it was Saka a couple of times last season. Then the last final game, Martinelli won the first. I think we beat Everton 5-0 that game, but the first goal he won the penalty. He took it and scored. Whether that's just was a final day thing or not, who really knows. Jesus, I personally thought a few weeks ago when he came in, before seeing him play, would be on them early to get him some confidence, but I don't think he's any short of that at the moment. So I think his record isn't great, so we might just leave it to Saka or Martinelli. But there was a quote here from Odegaard getting interviewed by his home country from a reporter from there, saying that he believes Saka has the penalties, but it is interchangeable. Whoever is in good form on the day may take it. And since Saka scored the one in the last game just gone in pre-season against Sevilla, he says he's in a good position to take the next. And it's not really saying anything concrete that it's in stone for Saka to be on it permanently. So I'm not going to say that, but I am pretty confident that the next penalty that will come, he will take. So who knows? You can't predict these things. It might be in 8 weeks before we see a penalty, but I think he's on them for sure, and it just makes him a bit more of an enticing option than Diaz for me. And obviously with Diaz comes into play, who's your other Liverpool player? Are you going to Robbo like me, or do you think Diaz is the better option there? So for me, I think Saka's a better option. I think the minutes will be similar. I think Arsenal are looking to improve, especially in attack. Somewhere they struggled at parts last season. I think the gelling between the front four is looking really good. Obviously, Liverpool's probably got a newer sort of front three, especially if Núñez starts playing more minutes. So, I think Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, they've played a lot of games together. Yes, Jesus is new, but he's looking to fit it in seamlessly already. So, and the fixtures, whilst Liverpool are an amazing team, I think Arsenal's fixtures are just slightly better. So for me, it's Saka. He's who I'll be starting with as well, but Diaz is a perfectly good option as well. And then lastly, we look at Neto versus Bailey. So a big talking point as well. I see many teams have them both. So like I said, it's not like you can't go both or neither. But if we're pitting them up against each other, they've both had a pretty good preseason. In fact, they both scored 3 goals, 2 assists from about 250 to even 60 minutes. So both done similar things in preseason. Bailey's looked really good. He's pretty much played a half of every preseason game. Whether that was the first or second was depending on what Stevie G wanted to do. But towards the latter part, it was Bailey starting, and they were having Ings off the bench. So I think he will start the season, no doubt. The fixtures are good for the opening 2. Palace away, it probably shouldn't be a green on the ticker, but it is. But for me, it's probably more like a white, because they are a pretty good defensive team, especially at home. And then, the Wolves fixtures are really, really good. Once you look past the Spurs one, even past game week 5, they're really, really nice as well. So I think I like Neto more as a not security, but I think he's safer for minutes and for a longer period of time. Whereas Bailey, I think, can score big points early, but those fixtures for the Wolves are really, really good as well. They just have really struggled to score over the last probably 6 months or so. So I think for me, I know Neto costs 0.5 million more, 5.5, so it does come into play. But his stats are better. His fixtures are probably better for a longer run. So if I was to pick, I would say Neto. But I can see if you want to use the 0.5 somewhere else, it can be handy. But obviously, come into mind that from game week 3, 4, 5, Villa fixtures aren't too great, and there is every risk that Bailey may lose his spot if he isn't performing. Danny Ings is no slouch, and Stevie G does want to get him on the pitch at times because he can pull something out of nowhere when they're in trouble. So I can see Bailey getting yanked if they're down early or chasing the game for sure. And then, Neto, I think with Jimenez going down, I know it's not probably great for him. It probably makes it harder for them to score because they don't have that out-and-out striker, but his minutes are totally secure. So he has had his injury problems. That's probably where it comes in, and both these guys have. So for me, it's Neto. He's who I would be picking. In my current team, I actually don't have him. I can't find him or fit him in with my current structure, but my current structure is changing every 5 hours. So that's what I think for those guys. Tonight, I will be doing a sort of because I have a lot of Australian viewers from Supercoach and their fantasy sports. A lot of them haven't played FPL too much, so I'll be doing sort of just a resources video showing all the tools that I use throughout the season, all that you can use for yourself to look at stats, look at lineups, look at your live rank, ownership, price rises, that sort of stuff tonight. So I'll do one then, so look out for that. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Got the mojo deals, we been tripping